Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Welcome to the channel. My name's AJ. Hope you're having a good day out there so far. So today we're here with another movie reaction. We are watching Escape from New York from 1981, directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell. And you know, I don't know if I should be playing favorites with the movie reactions I do on this channel. These videos are kind of like my babies, and so it feels like it'd be a little rude to name favorites. But if I'm being honest, the most fun I've had on this channel watching a movie, you know, my favorite movie so far has been Big Trouble in Little China. I had so much fun watching that movie. You know, just great action, great humor, really charismatic cast. They all seem to be having a lot of fun, and I had fun watching it. In fact, I have my eyes on that Shout Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray, saving up my pennies, probably gonna get that at some point soon. But yeah, so I just thought, you know what, I had such a good time with that collaboration between Russell and Carpenter. Let's keep it going, you know, let's watch another one. And I wanted to throw it back to their first theatrical movie together, and that is, of course, Escape from New York. You know, honestly, I really don't know much about this movie. I mean, I've heard of that title, but I really don't even think I know what the premise is. I'm guessing based on that title that it's an action film. I just feel like anytime you put escape from in a title, it has very like action adventure vibes to it. So I think it's a pretty good educated guess that that's the genre that I can expect here. But yeah, beyond that, I honestly don't really know much about it. And honestly, you know what? This was probably going to be my shortest intro that I've done for a movie reaction. I tend to be pretty long-winded. I tend to give personal anecdotes about any connection I have to the movie or why I'm watching it. But in this case, I think I'm just so eager to revisit the world of Carpenter and Russell that that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. So yeah, this is going to be my reaction to John Carpenter's Escape from New York from 1981. Let's go. I'm sure we're bound to have more of Carpenter's awesome music, as I learned from a lot of the comments, which, by the way, thank you, comment section. You guys are so helpful. I learn as much from the comment section as I do from my research and watching these movies. But yeah, the comment section let me know that Carpenter actually composes most of his music most of the time, and then in fact he even has albums and is a touring musician, so that's just really cool. Speaking of, see, I'm a big fan of synthesizers, especially like this 80s synth sound. Yeah, it's very proggy. Yeah, if this is a Carpenter composition, then yeah, already out the gate, he's just already knocking it out of the park. See, what this needs is just like some crazy prog drums, like get Bill Bruford on this track, you know? 1988, the crime rate in the United States.
The crime rate in the United States.
I guess they'll read it for me.
400%.
That was such an 80s concern, wasn't it? Like inner city crime just seemed to be something that was reported on a lot.
The United States police force, like an army, is encamped around the island. There are no guards inside the prison, only prisoners and the worlds they have made. Once you go in, you don't come out.
What's funny about this premise is that Manhattan, of all places, is so expensive. All the money's there, like Wall Street's there, and like the entertainment industry and publishing industry and like all kinds of media are there. Like, it's like we would never take the most expensive real estate and turn it into a prison, right? Just because it's an island. Like, I feel like you could find much cheaper islands in the United States to turn into prisons. I wonder why 1997? Because that would have been 16 years after this movie was made. There he is. Interested to see how he plays this character. Okay, so I've definitely seen pictures of Kurt Russell with an eye patch.
You now have the option to terminate and be cremated on the premises. You are processing.
You just choose to be cremated?
In the name of the workers and all the oppressed of this imperialist country, have struck a fatal blow to the racist police state. The bosses of the racist
unlock the pod. She's bolted the door.
That guy looked like a cross between Nixon and George W. Bush.
Get me to the pod.
The presidential egg.
Sir, this is a locating device to trace you if you become separated from the pod.
God save me and watch over you all.
Does that pod fly? Or is it just gonna crash land?
He's down. That's the escape pod.
That little red egg did not look like it was equipped to handle a plane crash and then falling through 20 stories of a building, hitting the ground, and not cracking apart like Humpty Dumpty. I always find it as an interesting sort of framing device or like storytelling technique when you start the movie showing us the world first before you really introduce us to the main character. Like, sure, we've seen Kurt Russell, but just a glimpse walking by, basically. We don't really, I mean, we know nothing about him, but they're really filling out this world and showing us the world and introducing us to who I imagine the villains are going to be. Very few movies start with the villain before introducing the hero.
You touch me, he dies. If you're not in the air in 30 seconds, he dies. If you come back in, he dies.
A lot of scenarios in which he dies. Ooh. I wish I could just do that. If I'm having a conversation with somebody and I just would rather be doing something else, you just look at him and just go,
It's 8:45. I want permission to try a rescue.
there we go. I guess he didn't choose cremation.
I'm not a fool, Plissken.
Call me Snake.
Snake? Is he a solid
Snake
snake?
Plissken. 2 Purple Hearts, Leningrad and Siberia. Youngest man to be decorated by the president. He robbed the Federal Reserve Depository. Life sentence, New York Maximum Security Penitentiary. Have a deal for you. You receive full pardon for every criminal action you've committed in the United States. Find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
24 hours, huh?
I'm making you an offer.
I'll think about it.
No time. Give me an answer.
Get a new president.
We're still at war, Plissken.
I mean, every 4 years,
Need him alive.
in theory. It'd have been great if he said,
Send to radio.
"Call me Snake." And then he just pulled out a little maraca.
But they added something, a safety catch.
It's very James Bond.
Where am I?
Top of the World Trade Center, only place you can land.
Pretty dope pants, I like it. I feel like the 80s did a better job of giving their characters iconic outfits or iconic looks, right? Like in Big Trouble, he had the tank top. And like this outfit, those pants and the eye patch, it's just all very iconic looking.
He has a briefcase attached to his wrist. The tape recording inside has to reach Hartford in 22 hours.
What's on it?
It's the survival of the human race, Plissken. Something you don't give a shit about.
I'm going to inject you. I'll sting for a second or two.
I think I get him on both sides of the neck. I guess he is. I should have just told them when I got vaccinated for COVID. Just give them both at the same time. Just in the neck, one on each side. Just get it over with.
2 microscopic capsules lodged in your arteries. Just big enough to open up both your arteries.
Cool.
I'd say you'd be dead in 10 or 15 seconds.
Come out now.
15 minutes before the last hour's up, we can neutralize the charge with X-rays.
That's a pretty cool concept. As far as like sci-fi dystopian technology goes. I'm really liking this lighting. The green and red. These are very complementary colors. It's kind of like how you see a lot of teal and orange in terms of color grading, especially films like at the 2000s and 2010s. I feel like that was really popular. But another really underutilized set of complementary colors is green and red. Like you saw in the movie Vertigo, that movie was famous for its use of green and red.
I'm inside the World Trade Center on the 50th floor.
Is the glider intact?
Yeah, but taking off is for shit. I'll work it out.
There it is. This is prison? Doesn't seem that bad.
You're Snake Plissken, ain't you? I thought you were dead.
Nice boots. Hey.
There's Humpty Dumpty.
You a cop? You got a smoke?
Plane crashed 7 hours ago near 8th Avenue. Did you see it?
No. I know who you are. Yeah, but I heard you were dead.
I am.
How does everyone in this world know who Snake
Wow,
Plissken
Snake
is?
Plissken, all right.
Why?
I can think of lots of reasons why.
Uh-oh. Guess you won't be seeing Plisken's snake after all. These buildings are not up to code. If you can just fall right through the floor. Wait, how much ammo did they give him?
Where you going, buddy?
How do you know he'd be there?
Oh, Snake Plissken at my cab? Wait till I tell Eddie.
If he's being honest about having been driving this cab for 30 years, they just build this prison around the locals who didn't want to leave.
Go away, Cabby!
You know it's Snake. Snake Plissken.
You're Plissken?
He wants to see Brain.
Snake?
Harold?
How you been, Harold? It's been a long time.
Oh, is that a young Harry Dean Stanton?
You, me, and Fresno Bob. You know what they did to Bob?
Fresno Bob, that's a name.
We've got the president. And the Duke's taking everybody out of here.
The disco ball hanging from the rear view. You have a lot of vehicular accessories. Hey, there's our man from earlier. Why the neck scarf, though? What utility does that have in a dystopian world? I feel like it's a strangling liability.
If you're not back to the car in 4 minutes, you're on your own. When we get there, Harold, you just keep talking.
The world's never too dystopian for some funk.
How's the president holding up, by the way? Is any political discussions you've had with him yet?
That Brain is a real pain in the ass.
Cool. That guy really milked his moment, didn't he? Just like, for like a good 5 seconds.
Gotta move fast. Move fast? You goddamn right, I'll move fast. Quiet.
Just really loving the disco funk vibe of this soundtrack. It's really 2 different eras colliding though, right? I like this character. I have no idea what his deal is. Hello, Plissken. Hi, Duke.
We've got to go in now.
We hold.
You're countermanding my orders, Ho.
This is my prison. I'll give the orders.
What did I teach you? I can't hear you.
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number 1.
Got it open.
Warm up the choppers. We're moving in.
Warm up the choppers. We've got to get into there. Gonna get some post-apocalyptic MMA.
And when we roll down the 69th Street Bridge tomorrow, on our way to freedom, we're gonna have the best man leading the way. From the neck up, on the hood of my car.
You're not supposed to be in here, Brain.
Oh. Oh. Late to the party. Uh-oh. That's not good.
Quick, diagram of the bridge. Hey, hey, hey! I'm the only one who knows how to read that, Snake. You need us!
You shouldn't have double-crossed me again, Brain. Come on, let's go.
I saw it off.
The tape?
Gone. I don't know where.
I swear to God, Snake, I know where it is. Just take us to the car. I'll take you right to it.
In a godless land, swearing to God holds no weight. It's always a nice touch in an action movie where the hero is showing the wear and tear of all the crap he's been put through. I wonder if that's the actual base of the Twin Towers that they actually got to film there.
Where's the tape, Ray? Tape.
Huh? What tape?
Where is it? Tape from the briefcase.
Oh, that tape. Here it is.
You tried to remember.
That's convenient as hell.
See?
You're pushing it too hard, Snake.
Okay, now!
It's like the one nice character in the whole thing.
Damn it!
Harry Dean flying.
Keep moving.
Cronenberg, get over to Station 19. They're coming
Did you say Cronenberg? I wonder if he was shouting out David Cronenberg. I don't know what sort of commentary that's supposed to be.
The Snake Plissken.
We're in the nick of time. Just trying to escape from Shaft. Thought the government was going to give him the shaft, but it all worked out. Looks like he's doing the hook 'em horn sign over there.
A lot of people died in the process. I just wondered how you felt about it.
I want to thank them. This nation appreciates their sacrifice. You gonna kill me now, Snake?
I'm too tired. Maybe later.
We'd make one hell of a team, Snake.
The name's Plissken.
Okay. But he's like rediscovered his humanity. He's no longer a snake. He's a human again.
I present this, that our great nations may learn to live in peace.
The hit play and it's just... I mean, honestly, just some good swing jazz music. That should be enough to have us all live in peace, right? Fewer political parties, more dance parties, you know what I mean? Just gonna jam out to these credits. It's interesting, this movie feels in a lot of ways impenetrable in that I just don't really know what it was going for. Like, I wish I had more context for the politics of the time. I mean, obviously there's such a thing as political art, but I'm not somebody who thinks that all art is inherently political. But whenever you're going to write the President of the United States as a character into the film, then definitely there's got to be some politics going on there. But yeah, I just have no idea what this movie was trying to say. It was all very vague and unspecific, but I think that sort of worked in that we're really just from the perspective of Snake the whole time, and he hasn't been given the whole story. He's just kind of been put in this almost semi-suicide mission, and, you know, he's just on a need-to-know basis. You know, just go get the tape and save the president. That's all he needs to know. So it makes sense that if we're in his perspective that we wouldn't know everything, but at the same time it leaves us, the audience, in kind of an awkward position of like, we're going along on this journey, but we don't exactly know what all it means or what it's for, which I think would have been less of a distraction if there was just more going on character-wise. You know, one of the things I really loved about Big Trouble in Little China is that every character, just from the leads down to the smallest role, just was so interesting and just so chock full of life. You know, there's just so much going on with every character. They felt lived in, and you felt their backstories, even if they were never explicitly stated. You just, like, every character had an energy to them and a life to them. Whereas so many of the characters in this movie just kind of just seem so inessential and inconsequential. I mean, even the villain, like, Isaac Hayes, no disrespect to him. I mean, it's just more the way it was written. that there just wasn't a lot there in terms of that character. I mean, for me, honestly, the most memorable thing about this villain was his car, because it had a disco ball hanging from the rearview mirror and chandeliers on the front. That's at the end of the day, that's really all I'm going to remember about the villain is that, yeah, he drove an interesting car. So it's just like, I don't know what to hang my hat on with this movie. There was, the music obviously was amazing. I'm beginning to suspect that that's never going to change with a Carpenter movie, that the music's always going to be top notch. So that was no different here. But yeah, beyond that, Kurt Russell, he was bringing it. Kurt Russell just has screen presence for days. He has that charisma. So even a character that's like sparsely written, he's going to be able to inhabit that character and just make it interesting just from his physical performance, even if the character itself feels a little underwritten. But what else did I like? I really like the set design and the production design. They did a good job of making that world feel real and feel lived in. I'm always going on about how much I love practical effects and practical sets, and this movie, was very much about that. That world felt lived in. It felt like the real deal. So I was immersed in that world. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I do respect and appreciate that I can see the influence that this movie had on future movies that would come out. Like, there's definitely some Die Hard in this. Or I guess I should say Die Hard definitely had some Escape from New York in it. So I can definitely see the influence, and it was an interesting movie visually, and it had a lot of interesting things going for it. It had a lot of interesting ideas, but just as an overall experience, it just kind of left me like, I wish I liked this movie a lot more. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I really loved Big Trouble in Little China. But for some reason, this movie just didn't quite land for me. Which leaves me in a really interesting spot, because there is a sequel, Escape from LA, and I think I still want to watch it. I want to see what they do differently, especially that those movies were 15 years apart. So that would be interesting to see the differences there. And of course, there's The Thing, which I believe is the fourth and final collaboration between Kurt Russell and John Carpenter. Definitely want to watch The Thing. I hear that one's an all-timer. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to complete watching all of these Carpenter-Russell collaborations. But as far as I'm concerned right now, it's 1 for 1. It is not a perfect 2-0, unfortunately. I will say one last interesting thing that I really find is sort of the preoccupations that we have as storytellers and filmmakers in terms of, what's going on from decade to decade and era to era. What you see represented in the sci-fi of a given era, it really shows you what culturally was on the minds of people, like what were the concerns. Like you think about, 2001: A Space Odyssey being, probably the biggest sci-fi hit from the 60s. And of course, that was the height of the space race. Kennedy had said at the beginning of the decade that we would land a man on the moon by the end of the decade. And that movie came out in 68. And the following year is when we finally did it. We put a man on the moon. So yeah, you can tell by the sci-fi of a given era what was on people's minds and what were the concerns and the hopes and aspirations and fears. And so I think in the 80s, you start to see a lot of sci-fi that deals with violent crime in the inner city and, the sort of urban decay. And I feel like this movie came out in 80. It might have been the first one. It might have led the charge in terms of sci-fi that was dealing with that theme. But yeah, then you started to see less of that in the 90s as things were turning around and crime was going down. So it's just interesting, like what you see, and I feel like sci-fi and horror are the two genres that do that, where they really do a good job of reflecting what the concerns of the time are. So in that way, they can be kind of dated, actually, which isn't a bad thing. They act as a time capsule, which is really fun, especially going back decades and watching movies from those eras to be like, well, this is what was on people's minds back then. Like, this movie wouldn't have been made in the 2000s because at that point, violent crime was down across the country. Cities were generally safer than they were in the 70s and 80s. But now, apparently, you're starting to see articles again about rising crime. So I don't know, maybe in the next couple of years, you're going to start to see movies that deal with this kind of thing again. So who knows? But yeah, I just find that really interesting. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it for today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to follow along with more of my movie reactions, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And remember to ring the bell for notifications. Signing out for today, my name is AJ. This has been Movies and Music with AJ. Thanks for watching and have a good day.